In a small village nestled deep within the heart of the African jungle, there was a forest that no one dared to enter after dark. The elders called it Mbiriba, the Forest of Whispers. For generations, the villagers had lived in fear of what lay within those ancient trees, warning their children never to venture too close. But the whispers, oh, they were the worst, soft, hissing voices that seemed to call out to anyone who strayed too close after sunset. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village, a young boy named Kofi found himself drawn toward Mbiriba. Kofi was fearless, or perhaps just too curious for his own good. The stories his grandmother told him, tales of spirits and creatures that lurked in the darkness, seemed like just that, stories. So when he heard the faintest of whispers on the wind, Kofi couldn't resist. He had to know what was hidden within the forest's depths. Ignoring the warnings that echoed in his mind, Kofi stepped into Mbiriba, the dense foliage swallowing him whole. As he moved deeper into the forest, the whispers grew louder. But they were no longer just whispers. The voices were calling his name, each syllable drawn out and twisted, as if the trees themselves were speaking to him. Kofi. The air grew cold, and the once familiar sounds of the jungle were replaced by an eerie silence. Kofi's heart pounded in his chest, but he pressed on, determined to uncover the source of the voices. The deeper he ventured, the more the forest seemed to change. The trees loomed larger, their twisted branches reaching out like claws, and the ground beneath his feet turned soft and spongy, as though it were alive. Suddenly, Kofi stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood an ancient tree, its bark blackened as if scorched by fire. The whispers were louder here, deafening, swirling around him like a storm. But there was something else, something moving among the shadows. Kofi squinted, trying to make out the shapes, but they moved too quickly, flitting from tree to tree. Then one of the shadows stepped forward, and Kofi froze. It was a figure, tall and gaunt, with eyes that glowed like embers. Its skin was cracked and dry, as though it had been burned by the sun, and it wore a tattered robe that fluttered in the wind, though there was none. The figure reached out a bony hand, and the whispers grew louder, more frantic. "Kofi, you should not have come here." The boy tried to move, to run, but his legs were rooted to the spot. The figure's eyes bore into him, and Kofi felt a chill crawl up his spine. The whispers were inside his head now, clawing at his mind, filling him with dread. "You have been chosen," the figure hissed, "chosen to be one with the forest, to join us forever." Kofi's mouth went dry as the shadows closed in around him. He could feel their cold fingers brushing against his skin, pulling him closer to the ancient tree. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. The last thing he saw before the darkness swallowed him was the figure's twisted smile, and the realization that the stories had been true. The next morning, when the villagers awoke, they found Kofi's footprints leading into Mbiriba, but no sign of the boy himself. The whispers were louder that day, a constant hum that filled the village with fear. No one spoke of what had happened, but they all knew. Kofi was gone, taken by the forest, just like those before him. And Mbiriba was still hungry, still whispering, waiting for the next curious soul to wander too close. The village would never be the same again.